Good. I'm gonna train to be in shape. If something happened in main event in White House, I'll be back up, so I'll fight there. And then they announced my next fight after the versus Gaethje when they fight. After that, they announced my next fight.
Okay. Will you weigh in at the White House and all that?
No, I don't wanna. I don't wanna cut my weight. I'm gonna be low. Even if they call me like before 4 or 5 days, I'll make weight. But I'm not gonna cut and stay on the scales 155. You know.
Okay. And is it fair to assume you're fighting the winner of that fight?
Most likely.
So are you okay with that?
There is a couple different things that can happen.
Oh, really? Like what? Could you tell us?
No, because they I cannot tell what
Okay. No, okay.
But can be good.
Okay.
Arman Tsarukyan says he is the backup fighter for the White House. Now, I ran that by Ian Parker, who said that I should fact check that he doesn't believe that's accurate. Now, I gotta tell you.
Fight fans, let's slice through the hype and examine that explosive headline you just clicked. Dana White announces Arman Tsarukyan as Justin Gaethje's replacement against Ilia Topuria at the UFC White House event. But here's the twist. The situation runs much deeper than surface level. Tsarukyan himself is declaring his role as the standby fighter for this colossal card, though our intel suggests we need to verify these claims. This isn't Dana's official proclamation, but rather Arman throwing his hat into the ring. The real question isn't simply whether he holds backup status, but whether he's earned it and what this could mean for the most historic UFC event ever. We're examining Arman's legitimacy and the fight game's unspoken protocols.
I don't know that it matters from this perspective. Has Tsarukyan been told? Does he have an actual contract? Is he going to get licensed, for example? Is he going to get down to weight, go through a training camp, and fly out like he did once before?
The commentator strikes at the heart of the matter. Does official UFC approval really matter when a fighter declares his intentions, or is this pure manifestation? We've witnessed athletes create their own opportunities through bold statements before. The pressing issue centers on logistics. Is Arman contractually bound to this backup role? Has he initiated the grueling weight cut process, secured proper licensing, and committed to preparing for potentially the biggest bout of his professional life? This transcends casual interest and demands complete training camp dedication and professional investment. The White House card requires absolute preparation from every potential participant, particularly last-minute substitutes. This uncertainty establishes our fundamental inquiry. How much influence does a fighter's self-proclamation wield in the UFC's pressure cooker environment?
Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. Or is he claiming it, right? Kids used to do this on video games when I was growing up, but it was called dibs. They'd come and they put their quarter on the machine. They say, I got dibs. It means that I'm next. And if nobody else has declared that they're willing to step in, if nobody else has declared dibs, it would seem like Arman is the guy.
This analogy about calling dibs perfectly captures the unofficial pecking order that occasionally determines UFC opportunities. Arman isn't merely announcing his availability, he's symbolically claiming his spot in line, securing a backup position that no competitor has publicly pursued. In combat sports where desire often translates directly into opportunity, Arman's forward-thinking approach carries real significance. When no other elite lightweight has stepped forward to explicitly volunteer as emergency replacement for such a pivotal card, Arman's declaration automatically establishes him as the most reasonable and enthusiastic option. It's a calculated risk, projecting readiness when everything is on the line, and it definitely compels the UFC to recognize his positioning.
The White House card, it's so big and it's so meaningful, and it would seem like to protect yourself, you would want a backup fighter. Gaethje is Mr. Reliable. Ilia is not going to flinch, but things happen. People miss flights. Somebody gets sick. I mean, things happen.
The enormous scope of this White House event transcends typical fight night significance. This represents a watershed moment for the UFC, elevating the sport to uncharted territory. For such a groundbreaking occasion, securing a dependable backup fighter isn't optional. It's absolutely essential. Even ultra-reliable Justin Gaethje and unshakable Ilia Topuria remain vulnerable to unexpected developments, transportation issues, sudden health problems, or surprise injuries. The UFC simply cannot risk their most prestigious card's main event collapsing due to inadequate contingency planning. This explains why Arman's assertion, whether officially sanctioned or not, carries such weight. The promotion requires a secondary option, and Arman is loudly positioning himself as precisely that solution. The demand for backup preparation is undeniable.
Maybe we should get that contract in place for Arman. Maybe we should make sure that he's close to weight and is licensed. Maybe we should book travel and have him there, just in case. And
considering the backup fighter's vital importance for the White House card, the analyst correctly contends that the UFC should cement Arman's status. Simple claims aren't sufficient. The organization must guarantee his complete preparation. This requires official backup contracts, weight monitoring, competition licensing verification, and travel coordination. These represent essential measures to ensure smooth transitions should either Gaethje or Topuria face elimination. Arman has demonstrated short notice availability previously, but an event of this caliber demands every contingency receives proactive attention. The pressure is too intense for anything short of total preparedness.
my larger thought on Tsarukyan, like, he fell into a very weird purgatory when his fight with Islam didn't materialize. And one person who never disagreed with that, one person who never said, I'm the victim.
This discussion introduces a pivotal chapter in Arman's story.
I'm being mistreated, was Tsarukyan. As a matter of fact, if you remember that timeline, he went quiet. We still do not have clarity on what happened. This roughly 1, 2, 3 in the morning, Dana White gets a phone call from Tsarukyan.
The confusion surrounding the cancelled Islam Makhachev fight remains an unanswered question in lightweight division lore. Back injury speculation circulated, yet Arman stayed characteristically silent. This choice to avoid public explanations despite significant career consequences reinforces his image as someone prioritizing forward progress over dwelling on disappointments. This measured response contrasts sharply with typical fighter defensiveness, strengthening arguments for his professional honor. It demonstrates faith in his own journey and sport respect rather than engaging in publicity warfare. This understated methodology makes his current backup assertion even more persuasive.
There was rumors that there was a back issue, but I'm just here to tell you, we've never really got that cleared up. I mean, Tsarukyan never came out. He never came out with medical reports and a statement from a doctor like a kid would do. He never did any of those things. He actually went quiet for a period of time. When he came back, people were setting him up. They were setting him up to declare, this is what I should get, this is what...
The analyst highlights Arman's extraordinary restraint and modesty during those difficult months. Unlike many fighters who would embrace sympathy-seeking complete with medical documentation and public declarations, Arman chose silence and internal fortitude. He avoided public pity or demanding perceived entitlements. This quiet resolve, rejecting victimhood spotlight, represents rare qualities in professional sport's highly visible arena. It indicates deep-rooted work principles and profound confidence that his cage performances, not external commentary, would ultimately shape his trajectory. This decision to remain quiet while avoiding victim narratives powerfully demonstrates his character and dedication.
He started taking any match that he could get. And then he even went outside of MMA. He started taking any jiu-jitsu match. He went outside of jiu-jitsu. He started taking any wrestling match. Like, he's one of these guys where if you're in a purgatory and you got to buy your way out, you got to buy your way out with good deeds. He's done it.
Arman's adversity response wasn't complaints, but competition. He adopted a fight-anyone approach, extending his abilities into jiu-jitsu and wrestling. This tireless competitive pursuit across multiple disciplines reveals incredible craft dedication and burning desire for constant activity and improvement. He wasn't passively awaiting specific chances, but actively generating opportunities, refining abilities, and demonstrating value through sheer work volume. This strategy of earning his escape from professional purgatory through positive actions, real fights, and steady effort shows unmatched commitment to earning his elite position, qualities making him perfect backup material.
He's done it in spades, and if he says that he's the backup fighter, look, history says, and there's only one exception to this, anybody that's ever been a backup fighter has then got to fight for the title. And there's only one exception to that. 2 if you count.
Historical backup fighter precedent strongly supports Arman's aspirations. With one notable exception, backup fighters have consistently advanced to title contention. This statistical trend indicates that accepting these positions frequently creates championship pathways. Arman's backup declaration isn't just fight readiness, but title shot positioning. This historical pattern significantly validates his ambitions. It's intelligent strategic thinking, recognizing the implicit promise accompanying next-in-line status. If past patterns predict future outcomes, Arman's substitution willingness essentially makes him a title challenger in waiting, a position he has systematically earned.
Because we're talking about him, I'm not counting him, and that was the night with Charles and Ilia. Tsarukyan did not get an automatic title fight, but the division got weird. Ilia comes off the board. They end up doing an interim championship, but that wasn't established yet. Tsarukyan gets put in what we're told is a #1 contenders fight with Dan Hooker. He wins the fight, but then there was the headbutt the day before. Like, there was just things that happened. But one guy who's never complained and never said I'm owed anything and never said I'm a victim was Tsarukyan.
Arman's backup experience for the Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria situation and subsequent developments further demonstrate his persistence and the sport's unpredictable nature. Despite missing that direct title opportunity, he secured a #1 contenders match, which he captured. The headbutt controversy and following complications show that even when direct routes face obstacles, Arman continues navigating complexities without grievances. His steadfast commitment to avoiding complaints, never claiming entitlement, and refusing victimhood through these maddening periods makes his current backup pursuit incredibly persuasive. He consistently appears and completes the necessary work.
Practice. He took opportunities. He said yes when his phone rings. Like, all of that sounds to me like he's the #1 contender. All of that sounds to me like he's the guy who should get dibs if something is to happen between Ilia or Gaethje.
This analysis perfectly explains why Arman Tsarukyan represents the perfect standby candidate. He simply trains consistently, seizes opportunities, and reliably accepts when opportunities arise. This disciplined, straightforward methodology exactly matches UFC requirements for elite contenders, especially for high-pressure events like the White House card. This dependable, opportunistic, and grievance-free mentality establishes him as the legitimate #1 contender in widespread opinion. He's not simply claiming position, but has earned these rights through reliable action and flawless professional behavior. If anyone deserves stepping in should anything affect Ilia Topuria or Justin Gaethje, it's absolutely Arman.
And by the way, if you don't have a backup fighter like that, that would be a very interesting hypothetical. Let's say Ilia doesn't show up to that fight for whatever reason. But let's just say that Ilia doesn't make that fight. That is the very reason that you have an interim champion. If your undisputed champion gets booked and cannot compete, there would be no stronger argument to elevate your interim champion to the undisputed champion.
This hypothetical situation emphasizes having official backup's critical necessity. Without designated alternatives, the UFC could confront unprecedented complications. If an undisputed champion like Ilia Topuria became unavailable without official backup designation, the most reasonable and arguably only resolution would involve promoting an interim champion to undisputed recognition. This would generate divisional chaos, potentially postponing genuine undisputed title defenses, emphasizing why Arman's proactive position proves so valuable. His availability, whether official or self-declared, supplies crucial protection for main event integrity and championship continuity. It's exactly the problem the UFC desperately wants preventing.
That would be the #1 reason. So what would happen in that scenario? I think that Arman would then fight Gaethje for the undisputed belt, winner to take on Ilia. Now, this is a problem just for a debate, just for fun. And you can sort that out later, but I don't know that anyone has ever played the hand they've been dealt better.
This discussion advances the hypothetical further, suggesting a fascinating and intricate possibility. If Arman held official backup status and Ilia Topuria couldn't compete, Arman facing Justin Gaethje for undisputed gold with the victor, later meeting Topuria creates compelling though complicated pathways. While purely hypothetical entertainment, it demonstrates potential consequences and lightweight division depth. More significantly, it returns focus to Arman's character. The commentator stresses that nobody has ever maximized their circumstances better than Tsarukyan. This emphasizes his exceptional ability, navigating challenges, and capitalizing on every opportunity regardless of complexity.
And I also think this is at a perfect time where the locker room needs a leader. And I really hope that the other guys are looking to the example set by Tsarukyan.
Beyond contender status, Arman Tsarukyan emerges as potential leadership for the entire UFC roster. His exemplary mindset, featuring resilience, complaint-free attitudes, and universal fighting willingness, establishes powerful precedents. In locker rooms where some fighters might prioritize particular matchups or voice treatment complaints, Arman's anytime, anywhere, yes philosophy provides refreshing change. The analyst expresses genuine hope that other fighters will adopt Arman's approach as their success and professionalism template. His methodology transcends fight victories, embodying the warrior mentality the sport celebrates, making him invaluable to UFC's reputation and competitive environment.
We had a roster of 700 plus athletes, men and women in all the divisions, and everybody had the attitude that Tsarukyan has, which is any rule set, anytime you call me, my answer will be yes. That would be the dream position that we could be in.
Picture this as MMA enthusiasts. Envision UFC rosters filled with fighters mirroring Arman Tsarukyan's approach. Approximately 700 athletes across all weight classes prepared for any competition format, anytime, defaulting to yes when called upon. This, as the commentator enthusiastically declares, would represent the ultimate fan scenario. This vision highlights the transformative impact Arman's professional philosophy could create sport-wide. It extends beyond individual contests, fostering readiness culture, mutual respect, and relentless competition. His acceptance mentality directly opposes selective fighting, promising more thrilling matchups and fewer canceled events, genuinely enhancing fan experiences and representing the ideal competitor.
I want Tsarukyan to be announced the #1 contender. I want him to have dibs. I want that statement to...
The analyst's final appeal rings clear and sincere. He wants Arman Tsarukyan officially acknowledged as the #1 contender and granted backup slot priority. He desires Arman's original statement about being the backup fighter to become unquestionable reality. This transcends mere observation, becoming a UFC appeal to recognize and formalize what Arman has earned through consistent excellence, unwavering professionalism, and distinctive character. It's a demand for the sport to reward authentic merit and preparedness. This sentiment reflects conviction that Arman's journey and attitude make him the most qualified candidate, moving beyond simple speculation towards strong recommendation.
And whether it was accurate at the time that he said it or it's just coming into the universe, let's get behind him. Let's back him up. Let's tell people. Let's spread the rumor. Let's make sure that Tsarukyan is the backup guy should anything happen to Gaethje or Topuria.
This compelling conclusion transitions from analysis to activism, encouraging audiences to actively support Arman's campaign. Whether his initial assertion was formally accurate or strategic positioning, the message urges collective backing and rumor spreading. The objective involves collaboratively manifesting Arman's official backup status for the White House card. This transcends passive watching, involving narrative influence and public UFC pressure to acknowledge Arman's preparedness and historical contributions. It's a unified effort ensuring that if Gaethje or Topuria cannot compete, the fighter truly embodying anytime, anywhere spirit awaits his moment,